Hey, everybody. If you are watching this, it means that our first technical hurdle is out of the way. Is that... Oh, it says starting. I should probably wait. Your audience will see it in a moment. You are live. Okay, that seems to be working. My lag is back. Hey, anyone watching this super early or watching the repeat, any idea how to solve this hideous lag? Watch this. I just clapped. And come on, video site. There we go. There he is. Okay, yeah, that's a solid 10-second delay we've got there. Or maybe it's just a part of it. How's it going?
Good.
Cool. This is our second... Oh, people are coming in the live stream. Why this topic? Well, who doesn't love animal mating stories? Am I right? This is what is happening. We are about to get started. If you're new here, this is the live stream of the BrainFood Show podcast that Daven and I do hopefully every week coming up. In a minute, we'll just get started. If you have questions for us or anything like that, we'll be doing a short Q&A afterwards. So feel free to ask those. We'll go through the super chat ones first. If you want to leave us a tip, that is always welcome and awesome. I'm ready to get started when you are. Just let me bring up my notes and put down my coffee.
Yes.
Cool.
We should probably check. Are my audio levels good this time? Because last time they were way too loud.
Oh, yeah. Great point. If anyone wants to just say... If one of us, I think, were you way too loud last time or was I way too loud?
Yeah, I was way too loud.
Okay, cool. I'll let people chime in and say if we're looking all right. And in the meantime, I'll load my notes. I posted this on Twitter. Did some promotion, which I'm normally pretty terrible at. So there you go. Follow me on Twitter, @SimonWhistler.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think, who's too loud? You're a tad too loud. Simon's video is lagging. I know. I'm really sorry. If anyone knows how to solve that, that would be awesome if someone could tell me. Maybe send me an email, simon@todayifoundout.com. I read some stuff online. It didn't really seem to help. Okay. Thank you, Elite Grey IT, for the tip. You could be louder, Simon. Okay, I'm going to bump up my audio just a touch. I wish OBS had some way to tell how loud you are. Okay, I've just bumped myself up a starter. I know, we're starting. Hold on. Okay, let's do it. I'll keep when you talk, I'll keep a tiny eye on the comments so I can see if one of us is too loud. For now.
That's good, because I don't have the comments up. So.
Yeah. Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, I can't find it.
Let's do this thing. You ready?
All right, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the BrainFood Show. I'm Simon. I'm here with Daven. And today, I was reading for the notes for this one. It's an interesting one. We're talking about it's got a really long title, How Do Porcupines Mate and the Bizarre Sex Habits of Giraffes and much more. It's a bit of a long one.
Much more.
Much more. Almost like a bonus facty episode, right?
Yeah, it is. Those are great.
Where are we starting? Are we doing a bonus fact or what?
Yeah, we are starting with a quick fact that is somewhat related, but more, humans. So it turns out, in theory, it is completely possible for a male human to become pregnant with fertilized.
Well, I saw that documentary with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Yeah, it turns out all you need to do is take a fertilized egg and implant it into the male's abdomen, and then, hopefully then it will attach to something. And if it does, like the liver or other organs and stuff, it gets its nutrients from there. If it does happen, this will result in a genuine pregnancy. It's called an ectopic implantation. And it is, as you might imagine, extremely risky for the baby and the male in question, mainly due to internal bleeding, because what will happen is once the baby, presumably if it gets to full term, then they do a C-section to take it out, then they remove the placenta and everything, and this will start some pretty massive internal bleeding, which is difficult to stop. So we have a little quote from bioethicist Glenn McGee on this, stating,
"The question is not, can a man do it? It's if a man does have a successful pregnancy, can he survive it?" This is so crazy. I honestly feel like this could be one of those, if this was published on April 1st, I would assume this was a joke. So implantations just like a needle or what?
Well, I assume just get the egg in there, and then we'll probably need lots of eggs to get one to actually implant somewhere. But
And then it
then,
can
yeah,
get nutrients off the liver? How
yeah,
is that even
same.
possible?
This is completely possible in women too, and this actually happens sometimes in women where the egg will implant outside of the uterus, and obviously the uterus for a variety of reasons is the best place for it to implant, but sometimes it'll implant in the fallopian tubes,
Really?
and this yeah, this occurs in about 1% of pregnancies actually are outside of the uterus, and so it'll might implant in the fallopian tubes. That's like 99% of these cases, but in women, and then about 1% of those will then attach elsewhere too, like the liver or the bowels or diaphragm, stuff like that, just anywhere in there. And yeah, this is a thing that happens rarely, but it does happen. And then the baby can go in women that have this happen. It can go full term. It's just there is a pretty high. I think it was like 21% or something like that will have some sort of birth defect or something like that. And this is primarily because they're not getting the like the proper protection that they get kind of in the uterus and all the amniotic fluid and everything like that. They don't really get that as much when it's implanted elsewhere, and so this can cause lots of problems. And yeah, and so and. Not to, we always go dark on these sometimes, but it turns out when this happens, so you have this egg like in a woman that is implanted, and connected to her liver or something like that, and getting all its nutrients. And so it turns out if the baby dies, which is not uncommon in these cases, what will happen is if it's small enough, it will then just the body kind of reabsorbs the tissue and then, gets rid of it naturally and everything like that. But if it's not, it'll stay there and it's got nowhere to go, obviously. And so what will happen is over time these like calcium deposits will build up on the dead tissue. And
We
then
did a video about this, right?
yeah, and
Didn't
then
a
it
woman
turns
have
out
this for like 90? She was 90 or something. She had
yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly. And it turns out into what's called a stone baby, where it's just this calcified mass, or technically it's the lithopedion, which is much better word to say
Sounds
than
like a
stone baby, I think.
dinosaur.
Yeah. And so this happens, and most women who have this happen aren't really aware of it because it's too small. It doesn't really cause them any issues or anything. In this woman's case that you're talking about, yeah, it was huge. It looked like she was pregnant, like full on pregnant, like like 7 months or 8 months or something like that.
And
And she
she
carried
knew
that.
about it, right? She was just too poor to have
Yeah,
it cut out. She was in
yeah.
rural
It was gonna be
China or
like
something.
yeah, it was going to be the equivalent of like $1,500 or something like that to get it removed, and she didn't have that money, so she just carried it for like 60 years or something like that until she was in her 90s and finally got it removed. But yeah, in this case, the average though for these lithopedian, I don't know what you want to call them, babies or whatever, it actually takes about 22 years on average in all the cases for the woman to realize they have it. Usually they'll go in for an examination, some sort of medical examination of some sort, and then they'll just discover it and then remove it. But so it turns out this isn't super
When
common as you might.
it's when they say stone, it's a calcification, right?
Yeah, it's just all the tissue's been calcified, and that's kind of the way the body.
So
I don't
like a
know.
bone?
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
So it's a stone baby or whatever.
Dark.
So yeah, there has only been 300 known cases of this ever been documented, but it is because a lot of the time the women don't know they had it unless they go in for some other examination. It's thought the cases are probably higher, but
Because normally it's small.
yeah, normally
Okay.
it's quite small
Gotcha.
and just like a little hard lump in their abdomen, which you'd never really notice, really. And these stone babies, because they're outside of the uterus and everything, they don't really cause any issues usually with having babies. So there's really not really a lot of reason to notice that this happened. But anyway, going back to the main thing was that it is perfectly possible to also implant the egg in a similar fashion into a male and then have it go to term, and then have a baby.
The main question I have from this whole quick fact is why on earth haven't we made a video about this yet? It seems I find it really hard to sometimes call which videos are going to do well and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
I feel a video titled "Men Can Have Babies" is going to do quite well.
Yeah, we had the male lactation one did pretty well, and
That's right.
the one woman who got stabbed and had a baby.
Oh, yeah.
That one I thought for sure was a myth until it's totally published in the whatever British Medical Journal or whatever. Yeah.
Not as unbelievable as the fact that men can have babies. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really. We probably should do a blog.
I've never doubted it. I always knew that if I wanted to, science would get there.
Well, yeah, and if I wanted to, you just have to take some prolactin and you can breastfeed away.
That baby too. Who needs women? Well, I guess, you know,
Well,
file off the DNA
eggs.
and the eggs
The
and
eggs are
this
kind of
stuff. Yeah,
important.
necessary. Did I read that two women can have a baby successfully? They can have a girl, right? Because of the chromosomes, there's XY and XX. And then if two XXs come together, they can use science. So two women can technically have a biological baby together. You're smiling like I've misread something, which is probably true.
No, I was just smiling because it was like, for science, science can do anything. It's awesome.
Okay. Well, interesting.
Yeah.
Is that our bonus fact?
That is our initial quick fact, and now we're going to move on to animals.
What you've all been waiting for.
Yeah, we are going to start with giraffe sex, which is one of my favorites, of the most bizarre. So, giraffes, they start out, their little mating ritual starts out with the male. Usually this is how it goes. There's an exception, but usually the male will approach the female, and then usually the quite disinterested female, and then rub against her backside until she pees on him.
This is when it got different.
Yeah, until she pees, and then he will kind of, reach down and take a little taste. She'll pee into his mouth.
You're saying this all like it's very normal.
Yeah, no, all these are pretty hilarious.
Like you do.
Well,
just out at the
every
bar,
single one of these, even as bizarre as they get, there's people out there that are doing all of them, and some of them get pretty bizarre. We'll get into, but this one. So she pees into his mouth, and then this is how he tells. Basically, he tastes it to see if she's in heat or not. If she is in heat, then he'll stalk her. Basically, he'll follow her around, and she tends to run away or walk away, just not really giving him the time of day. The whole point of this is to try to get other males to pursue her as well, and then the males fight. But this is the thing: is male fighting in the giraffe world over a mate is not actually, like, they're not trying to injure each other or anything, and no serious damage is done usually.
Yeah.
What they're actually doing, so they kind of do this necking thing, and there's low intensity necking and high intensity necking.
This is not like what humans do, right?
No,
I'm guessing it's got something to do with that giant neck.
No, I mean, they get to the whole human necking thing. But so at first, low intensity, it just basically, they just press their necks against each other and they're just pushing. And they might do this for like a half hour, just like pushing really hard, like a pushing contest. It's all
males, this is to fight each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
To for the right of the female or whatever. And so this is kind of the low intensity necking, and then the high intensity necking. They'll swing their heads and kind of knock each other, like landing blows on each other. And this one again, it looks a little violent, but there's usually not any serious damage done.
This is amazing. I would pay to watch this.
Yeah, and then so the person, or the giraffe with the longer neck almost always wins. It just, that tends to be the way it goes.
Yeah.
And so this is the interesting part, though. So after their necking battle is done, they start caressing each other's necks, just kind of rubbing against each other. And then they will proceed to have sex with each other, the males. Yeah.
Oh.
And this is male giraffes, about 75% of the time they have sex is actually with other male giraffes. It's not with the females, because the females tend to play hard to get a lot. So the males, they have their little fights, and then they have makeup sex, basically. All
right.
The females
75%?
Yeah. Well, some figures go as far as 94%, but I went with the conservative one. But
sometimes I wonder what's up with evolution, on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not getting a lot of loving from the females, so they had a fight. Let's make up. The females actually do this some too, but it's only like 1%. It's pretty rare of the female sexual encounters are with two female giraffes.
Mm-hmm.
So then, going back to the male-female mating. So in general, the female tends to prefer older males, and the males tend to prefer younger females, which is pretty typical here. And so this once the little necking battle is done, and then finally the female's like, all right, you're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that.
You kicked that other giraffe's ass.
Yeah. I should also mention here that if the female in the first place is just really interested in a particular male, maybe like a really long-necked older male, then she might just approach him, and then they skip the whole necking with other males things, and she'll just go, and she'll actually rub against him to try to get him to taste her pee. So they do that as you do. And then she'll just let him go ahead. She won't run away from him, or either way. Or if the male wins all the battles, and then she'll finally get interested and be like, "Here you go." And then the actual mating happens pretty quickly. It only lasts a few seconds in the case of giraffes. They don't take their time, and so so then that's just kind of how that goes.
It's incredibly weird, but it's also interesting how you'll go from well, the males pursue the females. Seems very normal. Then they pee in each other's mouths, or the woman pees in the man's mouth. It's
then naturally the two
interesting.
males will fight and then have makeup sex.
Yeah, interesting. That's giraffes.
Giraffes. They're awesome. Now we're going to get to how do porcupines mate? Because if you think about it,
There's
all the quills all over their bodies. This is not going to be a good time. And it turns out it really isn't that good of a time for the males for a variety of reasons.
Oh.
So for the first place, they tend to have to fight off all the other males around to win the right to mate with the female. And this often results in them getting stuck with a lot of quills in the process before they ever get to mate. And so, but if they win, then they'll go to the female and they'll do a little nose rubbing. So they kind of do this, and after that, if the female she likes whatever she's smelling or whatever from him, she'll then stand on her hind legs to expose her belly, which doesn't have quills on it, and then
there's a lot more smell and taste based.
There is it gets
better.
This gets better. So then she's not standing up on her hind legs yet to let him mate with her. No, she's wanting to see what he's got here, and so he will then urinate all over her body. And not in like a normal way that the thing might urinate.
The normal way, like we all do.
Yeah, no, this is like a special super high pressure.
Yeah.
Like ejaculation of pee like all over. And this so if this golden shower is not up to the female standards, if she's not liking the
power shower.
Yeah. Yeah, if she's not liking the scents that are coming or the pressure, maybe he's not spraying her hard enough. She will shake off that urine and then go find herself another mate. But if she, I should also mention here that in a lot of animal species, it's actually the females tend to get raped a lot, and so we're going to get into ducks later, which is ducks are.
We did a video about. Is this about what I think it's about?
Yeah, the Dead Duck Day, which we're going to get into, which is fascinating. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
So the ducks are like the worst of this. I'm probably not the worst, but they're pretty bad.
With corkscrew penises.
Yeah, but
we'll save that for later.
Yeah, in this case, the porcupine females, the males are completely at their mercy because, of course, all they got to do is like swipe their tail, at the male's exposed bits, and that's him not interested anymore, probably. They're completely in control, and this is a good thing because it turns out porcupine females are only receptive to sexual advances for about 8 to 12 hours per year.
Oh,
and so it's not
specific.
Yeah, it is. And so this usually happens in like the late summer, early fall, and so they do when they are quite receptive.
What if they were sleeping? Like, I missed that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do porcupines live?
I think like 20 or 30 years or something. I don't know. I don't really remember. That's a guess. I think it was something like that. But either way, so they do take full advantage. They will let the male of their choice mate with them basically until he is sexually exhausted.
Have you seen, like, I was looking up the lifespan of, I think it was a duck, just not related to this, but just the lifespan of a regular mallard. It's crazy, the difference. It'll say, you'll Google it, it'll be, between 2 and 50 years or whatever. I'm sure it wasn't this. And then you're like, if it's really well taken care of in captivity. And then it's like, oh yes, because the real world is absolutely brutal for animals. Yeah,
exactly.
Crazy.
So the female will, during this 8 to 12 hour stretch, once she picks her male, she will let him basically go until he's completely exhausted, and they just continue doing that.
Well, he has 8 to 12 hours every year. He's got to make the most of it.
He's got to make the most of it. And we should actually mention, I don't know why I skipped this somewhere, but she will eventually basically expose her belly to the male to allow him then the belly doesn't have quills and stuff, so they just kind of go belly to belly there, not poking each other. And then approximately 112 to 210 days later, depending on the exact species, a little baby porcupine is born, and it's probably noteworthy. People are probably wondering. Their quills are quite soft when they first come out, but they harden when exposed to air and stuff. So within about an hour, they get hardened. So, yeah.
Huh. There you go. I also see in the notes here, which I didn't know if you wanted to mention or not, that the common misconception of porcupines throwing their quills.
Yeah, they can't do that.
This is a common misconception?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard of this. So
Really,
people
it's in
think that-
cartoons and stuff all the time. Like cartoons
but
will like
so's-
rip their tail and
But
throw.
so's ducks just wearing a t-shirt and no pants. That doesn't mean that
Yeah.
ducks just wear t-shirts and no pants.
Yeah, and ducks being like male ducks, particularly being like evil. That's not in cartoons.
Yeah, and rapey.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Dark. It's gonna get dark.
But also, Dead Duck Day is so hilarious. I don't know why I find it to be so hilarious, but it's funny.
I think this is one of the videos. We did this on Highlight
History, the new channel. If people want to go subscribe,
definitely check that out. If you just YouTube search or even Google search Highlight History, it'll probably come up.
Yeah, it comes up now. It used to not, but
nice. That's good. That means we're doing something right.
Yeah. Yes.
Go check that
All
out.
right.
I was going to say I couldn't. I think I lost my shit many times in that video.
Yeah.
It was a good one. What are we up to next?
We're moving on to banana slugs.
I've never heard of banana slugs.
Yeah, if you Google them, just picture a banana and then like a slug and make them the same, and that's exactly what they look like length and all.
Oh, yeah, they are. Can I?
Yeah.
It'd be cool if I could. Whoa, they're really banana-like, or almost something like a cross between a jalapeno and a banana.
Yeah. And so they also have their Latin name is I'll go with Dolichephalus, and this means giant.
To do with penis.
That literally means giant penis.
Oh,
and so it turns out the banana slugs have a penis that is almost the length, or can be the length of their entire body, and it comes out of their head, like that's where it emerges from. And so if you have like an 8-inch banana slug, the penis will be about 8 inches too. So yeah. I did put a little aside here. So male barnacles actually have the largest penis proportional to its body size, and it's about 50 times the length of the barnacle's body. Typical.
So would the barnacle's body then be 50 times longer? Do they just not count the penis?
You could count it that way, but yeah, I guess you could count it that way, but no.
Giant barnacles. Where's this penis on these banana slugs? I
gotta say that's not something I've Googled. It's banana slug penis.
Well, I was Googling where is the penis on banana slugs.
My search my search history is already bad enough with all the articles we do online. So I've not done that one.
Sorry, carry
but
on.
it comes out of their head.
What?
Yeah. So how do they actually mate with this massive member? So they're actually hermaphrodites, it turns out. So both of them have a nice giant penis sticking out, and then and so a lot of these hermaphrodites like this, they'll kind of duke it out, and to get to see who gets to be the one penetrated, or the mother or the father in this case, which one gets to be pregnant and which one gets to be the father. In this case, though, banana slugs do not do this. They actually will just both go ahead and insert themselves, but this is where it gets a little weird. So it turns out
this is where it gets a little weird. It wasn't weird already.
No, it gets worse. So it turns out they can get stuck because they're so big, and they can sometimes get stuck in each other. And so what they'll do to get out of this process is once the mating is done, they will then go ahead and just eat each other's penises, like bite it off, type of thing, just to
yeah,
as you do.
Yeah.
And it's also thought that this might also be some sort of evolutionary thing, not just for stuck, but also to prevent the other male from then going on and mating again with another, maybe. There's that hypothesis. But at the same time, it definitely seems to be something to do with being stuck too, because there has been cases where a banana slug will be stuck and will chew off its own penis. Just bite it right off.
Okay. You were right. It got weirder.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that is apophallation, by the way, when they bite off the penises like that.
Who comes up with this? We need a word for when banana slugs eat each other's penises. Apophallation. I assume it's Latin because phalli is penisy, right?
Yeah. So now we're going to move on from giant penises to giant clitorises, and we're going to move on to the female hyena. It can be up to about 7 inches long, and it's sort of like a pseudo penis, kind of looks like a penis. It can even stand erect and everything. And this makes it really hard
It's
for
got to
the
be
male to
confusing.
actually mate, because it turns out their clitoris actually has the birthing canal in it, and so that's what the male has to insert, but it's like inserting a penis into a penis type thing, so it's like not hard, it's not easy to do. And so the males, apparently it's quite humorous if you look up videos of this. I have not yet. So they
Hmm.
try to like mount, but they kind of got to go and like a weird angle, and then like up and back to get, and then get this tiny thing.
Uh,
So
I would be more impressed with this if I wasn't already familiar with what the ducks are up to, which is coming up later.
yeah, so
Corkscrew penis. Sorry.
no, and this does make it so the female hyena, not usually they're bigger anyway and stronger, so
Uh,
but they also don't have that whole problem. Like they get to pick their male, and so yeah, they
I feel like the
the fe-
title of this episode should be Corkscrew penis. It would get more clicks.
yeah. So this turns out badly for the female, though. Although it kind of like, besides her size, makes it so it's like impossible for the male to get at her if she doesn't want him to.
Yeah.
This is a problem because this is also the birthing canal, and it's very narrow and small. And it turns out like first time hyena mothers die a lot because they tear, because like the little hyenas are coming out of their clitoris basically, and it tears and they die
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so now, speaking of hermaphrodites, we're going to go into one of the hermaphrodites that does duke it out in flatworms, and they actually have this sort of like dagger-like penis where they'll actually have sword fights with each other to see which one gets to be the male, and which one is the mother, the one going to be impregnated. And they also, it turns out, use these penises for hunting sometimes.
What? Okay.
And so the winner basically is the one that stabs the other, like literally stabs them somewhere in their body, very similar to, we've mentioned bedbugs before, and then they just ejaculate the sperm into the body, and then it'll get them pregnant, and then that's the winner is the one who stabs the other one. So yeah, bedbugs, same type of deal. I know we've mentioned this one before, but for those not familiar, so they kind of have this like hypodermic genitalia as well, and the males will just sort of like seek out the females, or even males, they go based on the size of the bed bug. So if it's a really big male, they might go ahead and just stab that one too. So, and they'll just same thing, they stab the body, and then that's how they get them pregnant.
But they can do it the normal way.
I can't, I think they have the necessary thing, but I don't think they actually do this on the thing.
That's weird. Although I guess we could link this back to that earlier on with the humans and having the egg implanted. I mean, technically we could do it that way.
Yeah, and it should work. I'm surprised no one has tried this before. Like, you think?
Wait, you mean the human, the man giving the birth?
Yeah, the male. Like, I'm surprised. Like, no, this has never been tried somewhere.
Yeah, I kind of feel that this is the sort of thing that happens during those horrific times in history where there are holocausts and horrible experiments on people. And
yeah, exactly. It's surprising that no one's ever given it a go just to see what would happen, But so now we're finally going to move on to ducks.
Okay, good.
Ducks are the so for those who don't know, and I mean, we've sort of alluded to it here, they're incredibly sexually aggressive creatures.
And this is your regular kind of mallard, the nice looking one, and then there's the brown female. They're so nice. I loved feeding the ducks when I was a kid.
They're not nice at all.
No, they're extremely sexually aggressive.
And the females are quite choosy, which is, that those two combination of things mean that there's a lot of basically duck sex ending up being rape.
Mm-hmm.
So the female ducks' reproductive tracts have sort of evolved over time to have these like random twists and turns and even like dead ends to just stop the male's penis from getting all the way to where it could then fertilize any eggs.
Yeah.
And this is, and you look up pictures of this. This is completely bizarre looking. And then, but it turns out it's super effective because it turns out about 90% of these duck rape cases, the eggs will not get fertilized. So it's very effective. But in contrast, when the female is actually willing, which is, when she actually picks one that she likes, this almost always results in fertilization. So it's quite effective. On the downside, it does end up with sometimes like the female duck running from literally like many, many male ducks. Like it's like flying for its life, basically. Sometimes literally. Sometimes it can result in the death of the female when they get grounded and then sort of gang raped to death by the male ducks.
I am googling pictures of ducks mating right now. Next time, I'm going to work out a way that we can put these up. For those people who are just listening to the audio, we're actually live streaming this on YouTube right now. If you want to check that out in the future, do that somehow. I'll work out a way to get these pictures so we can throw them up on the screen. But for now, duck reproductive tract is definitely a Google image search that is worth it. It's pretty crazy.
It's like a maze with like dead ends and like it's crazy. And then you look at the male duck's penises, which has evolved to sort of get around this problem.
Ooh, I gotta look
They'll
that
be
up
like,
now.
yeah, your search is going to be awesome.
Male duck penis.
So they're like,
what?
Yeah, no, they're all like corkscrew shaped and like, and basically the whole idea is to try to like find its way through this little maze, and they're sometimes spiny.
Huge.
Yeah, they're sometimes really spiny, so that the female can't get it out very easily once they get in. So yeah, and so the extreme example of this is the Argentina lake duck, which has a penis length that is about the same as its body length. So when it extends, it's like 16 to 17 inches. Out. And so I love this quote from the not just from the University of Alaska State. There's some researchers there. They said it's not just for in this case the duck. It's not just for finding a path through the female's reproductive tract, but it's also.
Sorry, I was looking up duck pictures. Our best guess is that the birds use the long penis as a kind of lasso. The males have to chase the female, and even during copulation, the females are trying to escape. Oh my!
Yeah,
as a lasso. I mean, looking at these pictures of it, it is most certainly long enough.
Yeah,
there's one that if I didn't know better, I think it looks like a painting, like someone's painted this.
It could be one of those
deviant art.
It could be one of those old, 19th century paintings of the thing when someone's discovered it. But this all brings us to Dead Duck Day, which is so. On June 5th, 1995, at approximately 5:55 p.m., there was a male mallard that randomly hits a glass window, basically at the Natural History Museum of Rotterdam in Holland. So it hits it, and then it dies. It just flops on the ground. And
you must have had this, like when you're in a building and
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So within moments of that.
Have you seen those things they sell? Sorry, I know this is a tangent and you want to get on with the dead duck thing, but have you seen those stickers that you can buy of like hawks that people will stick on buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the longest time, literally until maybe last year, I assumed those were decorative. And I always thought it was a very strange style choice to have, oh, wow, there's this really nice glass building. Why has someone stuck decorative bird silhouettes on this? And then
in this case,
never stopping the birds to hit the buildings, apparently.
Yeah.
I guess this museum did not have these.
One moment.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this actually, they have one of these like things on this building where the dead duck hit, which we'll get into in a bit. So it's like a little splatter mark, basically.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it's like just a thing. So, anyways,
I didn't know they were so insanely sexually aggressive, I'd feel much bad because they're so cute.
No,
like, oh,
you would, but no, you don't feel bad for this duck at all. He deserved it. Oh, and it turns out this duck is thought to have been running from another male duck who was trying to rape it. So it's not just that they'll rape the females; they'll rape each other too. So I
feel like I just shouldn't be surprised by anything anymore.
No, not with the ducks. So this dead duck, it hits the window, flops on the ground, and then within like almost right away, another male duck lands and then proceeds to mount the dead duck and then have vigorous intercourse with it for a reported 75 minutes before finally the researcher who was watching this whole thing got sick of it and like, all right, that's enough, and forced the dead mallard away to leave the poor dead or force the living mallard away. So what researchers was this? This was a guy by the name of Keith Smoliker.
Yeah.
So he was at the time he was an educational assistant there at the museum, but today he's actually its director.
Whoa. Good for him.
It turns out that it had never been observed before. They had observed male ducks raping other male ducks, and they had observed male ducks raping dead female ducks, but never a male duck raping a dead male duck. And so this was the first case. This was actually the title of his paper, was the first case of homosexual necrophilia in the mallard.
He wrote a paper on this, like an academic paper.
No, yeah, he grabbed his
Wow.
camera to film the whole thing, to document it as well, because he's for science. He's a good scientist. So Moliker himself would later note in his paper on the subject.
After the breakup of the pairs from mid-March onwards, when the drakes congregate in small flocks, more than a dozen may chase a single female in the air, trying to force her down and rape her.
Yeah. So in this case, again, he thinks that the one duck was actually chasing the other duck. That's why it happens so quickly. And the one duck hits the window, and the other then just lands and goes to town on him. Wait a minute, lost my place. One moment.
The nature of a live stream. We edit this out when we do the final podcast session. We've done very well today. Normally we have more scrubs.
Yeah, normally, especially for a bonus pack one. We usually have so many. Yeah. But all right, so he then goes on to describe what happened after what he saw after the live duck mounted the dead one.
Yeah. Forcibly picked into the back, the base and the bill, and mostly into the back of the dead... Sorry, I'm going to start that again. Like I say, we screw these things up. Forcibly picked into the back, the base of the bill, and mostly into the back of the head of the dead mallard for about 2 minutes, then mounted the corpse and started to copulate with great force, almost continuously picking the side of the head. He dismounted only twice, staying near the dead duck, and picked the neck and the side of the head again, before mounting again. The first break lasted 3 minutes, and the second break lasted less than a minute.
So finally, after 75 minutes of this, Moliker stated, "I had seen enough." He then went and shooed the other duck away and collected the dead duck. But even then, he states,
"The necrophiliac mallard only reluctantly left his mate. When I had approached him to about 5 meters, he did not fly away, but simply walked off a few meters, weakly uttering a series of 2-note rabe calls. I secured the dead duck and left the museum. The mallard was still present at the site, calling rabe, and apparently looking for his victim, who, by then, was in the freezer." Is that how you say rabe? I remember doing the original video for this.
Yeah.
And I Googled it, and I didn't find any pronunciation guidelines for a rabe.
Yeah. So then he collates his findings. He's got the pictures and everything, and writes his paper, which was quite interesting to bird nerds the world over, because it's never been seen before.
Yeah.
And this event resulted in this young Moliker being invited to give a TED talk about the event. It also won him an Ig Nobel Prize. His paper has been cited, tons of times because people find it hilarious. Ig Nobel Prize, for people who don't know, that's the one where it's basically achievements that first make people laugh and then make them think. Mm-hmm. And so, we've talked about that one before, so I don't know.
This was the one the most famous one, in my mind, is the guy who cracked his knuckles on just one hand for his whole life, right?
See, I find that one's funny. There's also the one where the professor made a bra that also works as an effective gas mask for in warfare situations, so they can take it off. And then the classic is the hilarious one where the researchers went to the strip clubs, and they monitored a bunch of strippers to see when they were ovulating or not. And then
they got better tips.
They got it was significantly more tips when they were ovulating versus when they were not. And also interesting to know, if they were on a birth control that kept them from ovulating, they saw no variance in the tips throughout the month. So it was kind of an interesting one. But anyways, so in honor of this duck that's this dead duck, they actually is a Dead Duck Day now on June 5th, every June 5th. So that one just passed. I
missed it.
Yeah, right. It'd be kind of funny to go to, because when they go, the guest of honor is the dead duck himself. Yeah. They usually put him on a little table, and then Moliker will then give a little, very brief talk. It only lasts about 15 minutes or so. Yeah. So it just they'll start. He'll do a little introduction, then he'll talk about bizarre instances of animal behavior that took place, the previous year. And on that note, in the 2007.
Just to update you on all of the weird stuff that happened with animals last year.
Yeah, and so the 2017 one actually saw the sequel to Dead Duck Event was the second account of a homosexual necrophilia in a mallard, which occurred that year. And Moliker had a little quote on this.
He said, "People have been waiting for this for 22 years."
Yeah. So after this, talking about bizarre animal stuff, he will then read a message from a very prominent scientist somewhere in the world. We'll send him a little quote about the Dead Duck Day event, and then he finishes up everyone discussing how to reduce instances of birds colliding with windows.
The stickers, the hawk stickers.
Yeah, exactly. And so then they will, this of course takes about 15 minutes, the whole thing, and then all the gathered masses will go to a nearby Chinese restaurant and they will have a 6-course duck dinner.
Amazing.
So, and it turns out about 100 people a year now go to this. It's been growing every year,
wow.
As you know. And so then,
let's go.
I know it would be. I mean, I've never actually had duck. I don't know if it's any good, but
what?
No.
Really?
Is it good?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And you love chicken.
I do, but I always feel bad for the duck because again, they look so cute.
Oh, it's super sexually aggressive. It's okay.
Yeah.
And also, the duck, to be fair, it's not these ducks that is being eaten. It's the big white duck, which is a lot nicer. Like, I don't know, maybe it's also sexually aggressive. Duck's amazing. I can't believe you've never had duck.
No.
Do you like Chinese food?
Yeah,
it's often Chinese food. Here where I live, there's duck is a main cuisine. Like, yeah.
Oh, weird. No, yeah.
When you come visit me, we'll go out for duck. It'll be great.
Yeah, sounds good. We should totally go to the Dead Duck Day sometime on June 5th.
Sounds good. Can't believe you've never eaten duck. It's like me never seeing The Princess Bride. Still haven't seen it.
Yeah, we'll solve that too. So also, as I mentioned before, in 2013, they put a little splatter decal where the duck hit the thing, and so there's also a little plaque detailing its fate and its sacrifice for as a scientific curiosity. And then in 2014, there was an opera made called the Homosexual Necrophilic Duck Opera that was written by one Daniel Gillingwater. And it turns out in the debut, the premiere at the Imperial College of London, Moliker himself was brought in to give the duck call during the opera, the little rabe, you know?
What? Really? Someone wrote an opera about this.
Yes.
Did we mention this in the original video? Is this a new thing?
I don't know.
I don't remember this. Maybe we did mention
I add stuff sometimes. So
it strikes me as particularly bizarre.
Yeah.
Huh. Almost as bizarre. Have you seen that? It's not opera, but it's musically, and I'm not a musical fan, but it's amazing. It's about, the actor Shia LaBeouf. He was in Transfer. Yeah. Okay, cool. A guy makes, I think his name's Rob Canton, and he makes this most surreal, bizarre musical performance, talking about being chased through the woods by Shia LaBeouf, or however you say it, with like an axe, and it's just incredible and worth watching. And now I also want to see the Homosexual Necrophiliac duck opera.
Yeah, apparently you can see it in London, or I don't know if it's still a thing that's performed, but presumably, like in June, you'd think they would do it like every year or something like that.
Very cool. Very cool.
So that is all I got for today. I didn't put any feedback discussion. So
I didn't either. I saw that, and then I didn't remember anything from last time. So I didn't
there's tons, but we forgot to do the giveaway again.
Oh yeah.
The $300 gift card.
Well, are we back on a weekly schedule?
Yeah, we are. So we can just do it next week.
Let's do it.
I'll look up. I'll find a winner.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Basically, we chose someone at random from our reviewers on the major podcast platforms to win an Amazon gift card. If you want to get it on the next time we do that, leave us a review. It would be awesome. They've officially changed it from iTunes.
Yes.
Did you read about
Apple Podcasts now? Yeah.
They're shutting down iTunes, which it's interesting. I mean, iTunes is what stopped me from getting into Mac for the longest time, because I had iTunes on PC. And it was just such a piece of garbage that I assumed Macs must be pieces of garbage as well. And I like it now, but it feels like the end of an era. And I've got to learn to stop saying review us on iTunes. Instead, review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever. Yeah.
Interesting. Should we do a Q&A again, or?
Yeah, let's wrap up the podcast and then we can do a Q&A. So if you've got some questions for us, and we'll slice this out of the final podcast episode. But if you've got questions for us, start leaving them in the chat thing now, and we can get to them. And I'll just wrap up the podcast. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So if you like that, leave us a review, do all of that good stuff. Say hi to us at podcast@todayifoundout.com. Is that our email address for this show?
Yeah.
Cool. I haven't checked that in a very long time. And I don't have forwarding set up. So
Oh, no.
maybe don't do that. You can say hi to me on Twitter at Simon Whistler.
Or the forums.todayifoundout.com, which I do monitor that daily. So
You do?
yes, I do.
That's way better. Go do that then. I haven't been on there in a long time. I probably should.
Yeah.
All of this good stuff. Thank you for watching. We are trying hard to get back on a weekly schedule, so assume there'll be another episode next week about what? We don't know?
No, I don't.
No,
I have no
okay.
idea. I just wanted to get this animal mating one out of the way because we got the sponsors coming up, and no sponsor will ever touch anyone that's like mating of any sort, whether animal or humans or anything.
No, I just got some feedback this morning from our sales chap,
Yeah.
and he was you can't use, and I'd already recorded it. It was quite frustrating, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back real soon. All right, that is the audio part of this done. I'm just going to stop my recorder. And
good. Oh.
Let's bring up this. Let's see if anyone has any interesting question. Who has eaten a gooey duck? I don't know what a gooey duck is. A gooey duck? Do you know what that is? You've never eaten duck, so...
No, I've heard that word before, but no, I don't actually. I assume a type of duck.
Okay. Not eaten that. Okay, how are you guys? Doing great, thank you. I'm doing great. How are you doing? Have you watched The Orville? That's a better question.
No, I haven't. I heard it's amazing though.
It is amazing. I haven't seen. I
saw it?
I've seen like maybe the first 5 episodes, and then I just fell out of the habit. I don't know why, because it was amazing. I think I've just been too busy. It's great. I feel like you can just tell that Seth MacFarlane was an enormous fan of the best Star Trek, The Next Generation. And he just really wanted to star in a show that was The Next Generation. And so he used his wealth and power to make this show, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It turns out this is probably why I've heard the gooey duck is some sort of a seafood thing in the Seattle area, I guess.
Oh,
not a duck at all.
You're near Seattle.
A phallus-shaped clam.
Oh, no.
Right?
I want to try the phallus-shaped clam. Seattle area. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, you're following the same thing I am. Oh, yeah. Have you heard of this Rick and Morty? I've had numerous people tell me to watch Rick and Morty. Numerous people tell me to watch Game of Thrones as well, but I've never taken that advice.
No, yeah. Well, I've heard it ends awful, so you're not missing much there.
Wait, Game of Thrones or Rick and Morty?
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm not really any interest in it, to be honest. I'm not a fantasy person. I'm a mad sci-fi person. Never into fantasy. It's also super weird watching when you've got the chat up, because everything in the window's super far behind, so I keep thinking you're talking and I can't hear your audio, but you're not. It's odd. I saw you guys at VidCon last year. Was so pleasantly surprised. Will you be there this time? Oh, that's a discussion. Are we going to VidCon this year?
No, I'm not. Are you?
I'd go if you went, but I guess not.
All right then.
Cool, decision made. No, we won't be there this year. It's for me, it's really far.
Yeah.
It's a good day burned getting there.
No.
Rick and Morty is something you have to do an episode on them one day. Okay, God, it's got to be good then. Are you a flat Earth believer?
We're doing a video on this.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. I got like 50 pages of notes though. I'm still working on it.
How long does it take you to make one of these podcasts?
The podcast, I would say, if I'm doing it completely from scratch rather than pulling stuff from the archives, 2 days, maybe 3 days. It depends on the topic. It can vary like a lot. Like if we were doing like a podcast on the flat Earth one, I'd be talking 3 or 4 days. Some topics are quicker. I often pull from the archives like different things and kind of put them together in interesting ways, like stuff, particularly target stuff we haven't done on YouTube yet, if I can. Sometimes other stuff kind of works in that we have done, but along with a lot of other new stuff. And I also go back through and research them a lot. So I'll add stuff that wasn't in the YouTube video, because in the podcast format, you can add a lot of things that don't really, like in the video, we'd really kind of got to keep it not too long. But in the podcast, I can just add whatever I want and make it as interesting or whatever. So I often go back and redo that. So yeah, it varies. It can, and then of course there's the after production, which that's your end.
Yeah, this on my side, I kind of show up mostly, and then obviously familiarize myself with the notes and especially the quotes, because I do all the reading of the quotes. So do that beforehand. But that, I mean, maybe with my morning coffee for like an hour or something. And then post production is I send it off. We have an amazing producer called Joel, who is at, I want to give him a plug. I want to say it's narrativeaudio.co.uk.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Great. So yeah, Joel's fantastic. He does all of our post-production work and he makes it sound amazing. And what I really like is, unlike when it's live and kind of I'm pulling your audio from the States all the way across the Atlantic and then putting it back onto YouTube, which I assume is in the States, and then it kind of gets a bit funky. But I feel when Joel's done with it, it sounds like we're in the same room, which is pretty great.
It does. He makes it sound amazing and tightens it up so we don't have the pauses and stuff, because there's like the 1 second delay between us and stuff like that. He makes it sound great.
Yeah.
So someone asked, can't remember who, sorry, but what is the most interesting thing we've researched, or in your case, the interesting topic you've covered?
You go first if you've got one that comes to mind, and then I can go.
I'm really bad at that.
Yeah, me too.
I always think of the most recent one.
I always just think of something super recent.
I think the man who saved the world, that one's not bizarre. So there's in that question, I always try to think of something bizarre, but in this one, it's just like there's literally this one guy who saved the world.
Is that the Soviet guy in the bunker?
Yeah, like I can't even remember his name, and this guy literally saved the world. I'm gonna look it up.
I feel his name was Vasili, but I think that's just
Vasili.
Was it really? I was just thinking
so.
It was that because of the HBO miniseries on Chernobyl that I recently watched, which is amazing.
Yeah, this guy.
Did I tell you I went to Chernobyl?
Yes, you did. That's crazy. Did you have to like wear a suit or anything, or did they just let you walk?
No, you could walk around as long as you don't stay there for too long. It's not too bad, and they also kind of have mapped the super high radiation areas, so you don't go to those, or you just go through them quickly.
Yeah. So, real briefly, we'll probably do a podcast on this guy at some point because it's amazing. Vasili Arkhipov.
Yeah.
So he literally, they were going to launch the nukes. He was aboard this nuclear submarine during the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? The sub captain and the second command were convinced. They lost contact with the Soviet. They were down below. They didn't have any contact for a while. They were convinced nuclear war had broken out, and so they were going to launch their nuke during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which would have, that's already super high tense, and now there's a nuke launched at the U.S. So that would have just, escalated quickly. Yeah. And so they were going to do it. They both had access. They both could do it. But Vasili Arkhipov, who was he was like the government representative or something, said no. And they had this like fight between the three of them. He's like, no, we can't do that until we contact our base. And they were like, no, we're going to do it anyway. It's probably already destroyed. We can't wait. It's like, let's launch now. And so they basically got in this fight. He won, and then they surfaced, and then they found out, oh yeah, the war hadn't actually broken out or anything. So they would have launched this nuke at the U.S. during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which would have ended badly for everyone. But yeah, Vasili Arkhipov, saving the world.
Did we not do a video about this? Because I feel I know the story, and generally the only reason I know stuff is because of our YouTube channels.
Yeah, it's possible at some point we did, but it's a good one.
Visiting.
Yeah,
it's a great story.
Nobody knows this guy, but yeah, good stuff.
I'm just looking at other questions. How much more do you want to do? I say we could go to the hour. We're at 53 now. If
sure.
People still have questions. Blah, 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 blah. Let me have a look. Someone asks, what should you do if a meteor strikes the Earth, or you hear a meteor strike the Earth? Just shrug. I guess if you can hear it, you're probably screwed.
Yeah.
Just guessing, but maybe there's some science there. We should get some moderators. People are saying we should get moderators.
Yeah, to monitor the comments and stuff and give us like questions throughout. So, favorite sci-fi show, that has to be, of course, Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah, obviously.
That's favorite show of all time. for everyone, I assume.
mean, I don't understand. I just don't like people who don't rate that as the favorite show of all time.
Except for the first two seasons, they're crap. But
yeah, they were weak. I still rewatch them whenever I watch it because, there's a limited number. Star Trek Picard coming soon.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the Star Trek Next Generation in Spanish now, just because I know the show so well, but I'm having trouble locating a copy with that. So
don't they all have dubbing on?
You'd think so, but no. All the ones I've found, like Netflix, only does English. Apparently, if you're in Canada, Netflix does the Spanish version, but not here.
Super curious. So. Pick a question. I'm going to see if I've got Spanish Next Generation right now.
Oh, that would be interesting. What are the topics you have the hardest time finding reliable information?
That's one for you.
I mean, stuff that happened a really long time ago, because people tend to sensationalize it, and then it kind of becomes fact but then when you actually go back and look at the sources, like way back, like newspaper accounts, and newspaper accounts too are often pretty inaccurate of the time, but at least they're a little closer. So it's really hard to find something really accurate so old, but there's lots of, you can dig deep. Like the one that comes to mind is it's a classic example of that is the dolphin that people say guided
Dolores
ships.
Jack.
Dolores Jack, yeah. So he guides ships through this dangerous part of the water in New Zealand, was it? And this is a thing everyone says is true, literally going back to like 1920s or so. Like this just became a thing that was just repeated as fact, but it doesn't make any sense because why would a captain trust in dangerous waters his dolphin to know the capabilities of a ship and all that? And so it didn't make sense at all. So this supposedly happened in the late 19th century, early 20th century, kind of around there. And so I just kept digging to look and try, like, is there one sea captain who actually said he did this, like a newspaper account and stuff? And there's not. And if you actually go back to the late 19th century newspaper clippings, there are quotes from actual captains. And there was this dolphin that would jump along the ship, the wake of the ships, like dolphins do. Like that's just something they do. So it's not, there was nothing really unique. What was unique was this dolphin was just there for so long and all by itself, which is weird because dolphins are usually together. But in this case, Dolores Jack, it was thought that his pod was all killed off or something, probably by whalers or something. And so he was just there all by himself and for like 20 or 30 years. And so he just liked to play with the ships when they come by, and dolphins sleep with half their brain, awake so they can come up to surface and breathe. And so this is just what it did. So it would hear a ship coming, it would, wake up and then go up, jump around, go and, have fun as dolphins do, is bored. And this just continued until someone shot at it at some point, and then it was injured for a while, and then eventually it just disappeared and presumably died at some point. So yeah, but this was an example of that where it was just like everyone says one thing going all the way back to like the 1920s. So you might say, well, that's got to be at least somewhat accurate, but you need to go back to the primary sources, and those ones are hard when it's so old like that. But yeah,
I will just bring up quickly. Someone constipated in Sin City says, I know I have great questions, but receive no acknowledgement. What's up with that? It's because there are currently 12 messages coming in per minute, and we're trying to podcast at the same time as reading these. I figure we should probably get someone to moderate these next time so they can just load up some questions, and then we'll do a better job. So apologies, but we're not ignoring you or anyone else who feels ignored. Sorry.
This is only our second live stream. We're working out the kinks. That's why we're doing it in the middle of the night at the moment.
Yes.
Later we'll switch to the daytime with when more people are awake. This one's for you, Australia. This is your time to shine.
Yeah, Australia's representing in those comments today, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There are a lot of comments. Do you want to wrap it up there?
Yeah, sounds good.
That was a good question to end on about the dolphin. I like that story.
Yeah, I do too. It was an interesting one that no one watched because it was like 20 minutes long.
Yeah. If anyone, when we have mods, is that someone we have to find ourselves, or do we nominate someone, or does someone volunteer, or anything about this?
I assume we could do it either way. They could message us on something.
If this is a great time for anyone to do this, because we always record at the same time, and you've got any interest in moderating this, and you think you'd be good at that, and just want to be involved,
forums at forums.todayifoundout.com or podcast at at brainfoodshow.com, right?
Wait, I think we own brainfoodshow.com, do we? I think we own brainfood.fm.
Oh, we do. That's right. Brainfood.fm. Or
No. Dude, forums.todayIfoundout.com, right?
or David at todayifoundout.com. That one definitely works.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that. Your email box might get crowded.
No, it's already crowded. I miss a lot. I need an assistant to go to
You
filter.
might need an email
I
assistant.
miss, as Simon can attest, I miss a lot of emails.
You do. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the live stream. We really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. This one, if you want the audio version or you're just tuning in now and you're wondering what the hell's going on, this whole thing, what we recorded today about the bizarre sex habits of animals, will be out next week, probably late next week, I assume, on the podcast. So go subscribe to that. BrainFood Show. BrainFood, one word, in Apple Podcasts and all of that good stuff. Let's wrap it up, and thank you all for watching. Now I have to work out how to end this stream.